welcome. We are here with Prison Break with Shirley and Shonda, and we are super excited. We have a special day planned for you. And so if you'll just bear with me for one moment because I cannot see. Good evening or afternoon, whichever one you prefer. Wow. So welcome. We are here with Prison Break with Shirley and Shonda, and we are super excited. We have a special day planned for you. Fix that. And so if you'll just bear with. All right. Are you able to hear me, Shonda and Dr. Freeman?
You're coming through all clear, Shirley.
You are not. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes.
Can you all hear me at all? You can. All right. Yes. Well, I can't hear y'all, so I'm going to have to. There we go.
You're coming through all clear, Shirley.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now? All right. So, again, welcome to Prison Break with Shirley and Shonda. We have very special Dr. Freeman is on here with us again. So if you missed us, it was about 2 weeks ago, Shonda?
About 2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks ago, we had Dr. Freeman on, and he was on here with us just dropping some gems, some nuggets, some life lessons. And it was entitled Men's Healing and Mental Health. And so we decided that there was no way we could go any further without having this great man of God to come back on and to grace us with his presence again. So we want to welcome you back, Dr. Freeman, to our live.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, go ahead and introduce yourself for the people who don't know you. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are.
Edward Freeman, Senior, MD. I'm a physician in the Killeen area, and my specialty is psychiatry.
Okay. You're going to keep it short and sweet this time, huh? All right. Well, Shonda, do you have anything to say before we kind of get into the questions and let free flow it?
No, I just want to give everybody a reminder of what it was that we discussed last time, just to bring kind of everybody up to date and to give them some nuggets. Maybe they want to go back and check it out in their own time. When we discussed men's healing the last time, we kind of talked about how you see men as far as your practice goes and in working with them through their mental health. But one of the other things that we talked about, which we thought was amazing, was about your journey through healing through the COVID-19 and your restoration of your relationship with your daughter, or the beginning steps of that restoration with your daughter. And so in hearing your testimony about how things have been difficult for the two of you in the beginning, and then you guys, this COVID-19 scare kind of bringing you both back together, we realized that there was really a journey through grace that you took to get to where you are today. And so we're very excited to bring you back on today to talk about what that journey looks like for you, and how you guys are faring now 2 weeks after we talked to you then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we're going to talk about my daughter, huh? She's going to be mad at me.
It doesn't have to be all about her. We want to know your journey.
Well, I'll start with that question. She called me, as I said before. I was at my deepest, darkest with the illness. I had not been intubated, but was pretty low, and were they talking about it? Were they looking? They were watching me closely, and it was a possibility I could have been intubated. And it was at that point that she called. And as I said, I still don't remember a whole lot of that conversation. But what I remember was the piercing. It's like a piercing light through complete and total darkness. Just the sound of her voice, just knowing that she called. Because up until then, we did not talk, really not much. A little bit here, a little bit, especially not talking. Some texting, some emailing, but definitely not talking. Since then, I've talked to her a couple of times when I was home healing, and she said that she thought we should really talk more. And I said, well, I can't argue with that. And I've talked to her several times. She definitely called me on Father's Day. And that was poignant. There's nothing she does with me that isn't intentional. So it isn't just that she just picked up the phone and called, because I don't know, other than when she was between the ages of 0 and 6, did we have Father's Day? And she's 31 years old. So it was an intentional thing on her part to call me. So that was significant. It's just a common everyday conversation, nothing major, nothing heavy. But the fact that we are starting to connect, and that is truly grace of God. Because oftentimes people end up standing over someone else's coffin with regrets. And I was praying that would never happen to us. If somebody wasn't standing over somebody's coffin, wishing that they had reached out. So she's reaching out, and I'm learning to accept and to just kind of roll with things for a little bit. But it's fun. It's fun. She's a lot of things. She's a very bright, intelligent, driven young lady. Part of one of the reasons why we're probably having so much difficulty connecting, because that can be a barrier to things. And I realize that about myself too, that, you've got to sometimes concede. And I've had to concede on this with her. There's so many things in life I'd like to talk to her about, but I realize I can't be too heavy too fast. Just got to keep it light for now. And I know she's got questions, but I have to wait for her to ask. So she even sent me some pictures that was sent to her by her mother of me and her. And she said she didn't remember those pictures. Of course, she looked to be about maybe 4, 5 years old. And it was 5, 6 different pictures. And I said, if you look at the chairs, they're all different, but they're all chairs from airports, because I used to have to go back and forth to pick her up. And I don't know who took the pictures. I said, but of course I looked happy. I said, you look pretty happy too. She says, yeah, I don't remember that. I said, yeah, well, there was a time when me and you were pretty doggone close. There was. So we'll see. It's in God's hands. So whatever he's got planned is what's going to happen. And clearly the signs he's sending is that there's going to be a reconciliation. And for me, at first it was about me. I'm the father, I'm supposed to do this, but it's no longer about me. It's about making sure that she's whole. And we mentioned something about people holding on to hurt, harm, and pain, and how it will freeze you and stop you and weigh you down. And that's all I want I think that's all parents want for their kids, for them to be okay. Of course, I want to love her, I want to hug her, I want to hold her, I want to be friend, I want to have a friendship with her as well. I want to have a relationship with my grandchildren, but first and foremost, I just want to make sure she's okay. Emotionally, psychologically, physically, intellectually, financially, so they can stay out of my pocket. So my hope and wish and prayer is that whatever happens here, that she becomes okay and she becomes whole and balanced. And then I'm good. So that's all I'm gonna say about her, because she's gonna find out about it. I'm gonna be in trouble because she's got rules and I don't have a rule book. So
well, you know what? That's okay, because you know what that means? That means more communication.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So I had a question, Shirley. Did you have something?
Go ahead.
You said that and you don't have to refer back to her when you answer this question, but just talk about what it means as far as people in general in relationships. You said that she was driven and that she was bright, and that those can sometimes be barriers to communicating in relationships and being close with people. So not necessarily about yours and hers relationship, but in general, can you talk about how people struggle through when they're driven and they're intellectual and they're bright?
I put it like this: they've got more marbles and more tools in the toolbox to do good things, bad things, harmful things. And so when we are, I said we, I may not be in that group, but when people are intellectually strong, they have all kinds of ways of dealing with things. And some of them may be very comforting to them, but they may be destructive. So classic example, people that build walls. Now, people that build walls and that are very bright, not only do they build a wall, but they build a whole backstory for the wall. This is why I have the wall. This is why I should keep the wall. This is why the wall works. However, you still have a wall. And when you're walling everything out, you're hurting yourself. Now, granted, when you pull a wall down, people can hurt you, people can betray you, people can disappoint you. But if you have a wall up, you're doing all that on your own. And then if by chance someone pierces that defense, what do you do then? So people have to understand that, and those in the counseling community understand that the biggest thing is that people are afraid of is vulnerability, of being hurt. And you really just gonna have to take some of that and get stronger and drop those walls, because while you are protecting yourself from any hurt, harm, or danger, you're also keeping away from your joy and fulfillment and understanding and growth. So that's kind of what I meant. And people that are really bright, they can put up all kinds of defenses and arguments of why they should keep that, as opposed to folks that you tell them, hey, you ought to just let that go. Okay, and they let it go. So, you know, the brighter people are, sometimes the more difficult it is and the more easy they're quick to rationalize things. So that's kind of what I meant by that.
That is so true, Dr. Freeman. Oh, so true. Because as you're saying that, I can see people come to mind right away, and not putting them in a box per se, because I know I'm in a box too of some sorts. So just realizing that we do have these shields up, and it's not necessarily for our good, but we have learned how to shield ourselves. But when we shield ourselves, we're shielding ourselves from not just the bad, but the good, as you allude to. So just being cognizant of that. And so we named today's segment, we named it One Man's Journey of Grace. Because we want to,
okay.
We want to go off into that arena, because I remember after the video stopped playing, after we stopped recording last time, that you began to kind of take us on that journey of how you being here where you are by the grace of God. Can you speak on kind of your, even in the hospital? I know that was a brand new experience for you, and I know some people who have been on their deathbed, they go through different stages of denial. They go through acceptance. They go through all of these bargaining. They go through all of these different things. They go through, sometimes people see visions and dreams and all of those things. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about some of your journey? It can be any part of your life. It doesn't matter. Just talk to people.
Sure. Well, to respond to your title, and to parrot a song, I know something about God's grace. Mm-hmm. How I got to here, I'll go back to how I got to be even a physician. For me, being a physician is something that I've wanted to do as far back, I can safely say as far back as 5-6 years old. I know I wanted to do that. Now, I wasn't one of those kids that would run around and say, hi, I want to be so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. Never said much to anybody, but I knew I wanted to do it. And, you go through school, you do what you got to do. But when I got into medical school, things got a little different. Medical school is 4 years. You do 4 years of medical school, you graduate, you have your degree, and you are an MD. Now, you can't practice nothing. You can't get nobody a Band-Aid, but you are legally an MD. Once you get the title, you're a doctor. But in order to practice medicine, it depends on what state you're in. It's a minimum of 1 to 2 years of residency. So let's just say you want to be a general practitioner, and it's been so long for me, this may have changed. But back then, we were still using hot rocks. It was, you could go 1 or 2 years and be a general practitioner. You can just go out and go hang out a shingle and things of that nature. For me, my residency was psychiatry. So that's a 4-year residency. Now, people say, okay, that's school. Well, it's training and you're getting paid, not a whole lot. But if you take what you're being paid and add on what you're not paying into medical school, which for me was $23,000 a year, that added up fast.
Mm-hmm.
But in Texas, and I did my residency here at the Texas Medical Center in Houston. After your first year, you can take a standardized test and get your license. So I was licensed, a licensed physician to practice medicine in the state of Texas, but I didn't have enough training to practice psychiatry. The only thing that allowed me to do was to not have to be on call, because, you know, residents are on call. And for us, I think it was every 5 or 6 days. And since I had a license, I didn't have to, because in the state of Texas, if you ever commit anybody for psychiatric hospitalization, you need 2 doctors' signatures.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you go into the ER and somebody is needing hospitalization. The ER doctor will do it, but they'll also call in a licensed physician that's a psychiatrist, or in my case, a psychiatric resident, to do an eval and sign off on it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a great deal of power, because that's medical legal. You're literally taking someone's rights away. It's the equivalent of an arrest.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing it against their will. And once it's signed, it doesn't matter what they want. They're
Mm-hmm.
going in whether they want to or not. So because that's so, you know, they told me, well, you don't have to do calls. So it sounded like they were giving me a break, but in reality, that could lead to some very serious medical legal issues, lawsuits, things of this nature. Thank goodness it didn't. But because of that, so I didn't have to do call, which is great, because I had small children and I could be home every night. So you that's your residency. But going back to medical school, so I went to, I'm not gonna name the school, not the first school. I did my first year, ended up repeating the first year because I didn't pass an exam. Finished that year, failed that very same exam by 1 point. So they were going to hold me back again or dismiss me. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't usually fail tests by 1 point. I either pass them by 1 point, but I don't fail by 1 point. But my argument to them is that this is within 1 standard deviation. Now, there were other people who failed the test by more than 1 point and they were promoted.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that later. So my point was since I'm within 1 standard deviation, you don't know if I missed that question or not. You have no way of knowing. Therefore, I should be promoted. And lo and behold, I was promoted. But you have to take this national, and it's not even called national boards anymore. It has 3 parts. 1 part at the end of your first year, another part at the end of your 3rd year, and then another part at the first year of your residency. And when you pass all 3 of those, then you get a license. Well, there was another test called Flex. It's like SAT and ACT. Flex, you took it at the end of your first year residency. Just 1 time, 1 shot, did it, done. Well, I couldn't pass national boards. I failed it so miserably the first time, I should have never taken it the second time. But they required me to. And of course, I didn't do it. I didn't pass it. I should have had what we call a board prep, because it was clear that I had some very difficulty taking the exam. It wasn't about knowledge. It was about the ability to take the exam. Even the national boards recommended below a certain point, they don't want you to take it without going to have special training, because they just recognize it. They know you can do the work. You're in medical school. You're passing your courses. So anyway, that was reason for them to try to dismiss me. And we went round and round and round and round and round about that. And long story short, I was dismissed out of the school while I was in the top third of the class academically as a B student. Now, the interesting thing about national boards, in their charter, they say not to be used for promotion and or graduation. It is not a tool, but that's why they dismissed me. Where is he going with this? Well, this was the first real time I had an interaction with a direct interaction with Grace. So once I found out, and I went through several appeals, and the night that they dismissed me, they didn't even tell me. I mean, I went and found the dean of the school, and the school was closed. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, we forgot you were here. Yeah, they dismissed you." I said, "Okay." So I go to my car, and I just kind of sit in my car. And while sitting there, completely stunned, it was like an epiphany. Okay, I'm getting back in school. It's like somebody knocked the hat off your head, or or you had been, something, here you are, it's like you're standing at the TSA and you're thinking you left your wallet at home, and then suddenly you remember it's in your computer bag. It's that kind of relief, but along with that, I knew that I was getting back in school, but at the same time, I understood that I was getting ready to go through a little bit of what's called hell. And also there was this other little thought that, oh, by the way, that thing you've wanted since you were 5 years old, that was what I had for you. And that's when I realized that I had just been graced with the presence of the Holy Spirit or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very difficult thing to handle, because I didn't, I wasn't like, oh, Lord, help me, please, Jesus, help me. I didn't say a word. And the first thought that came to mind is you came to see about me and I didn't even call you.
Mm-hmm.
And ask for your help. You think that much of me that you're going to come let me know that I'm going to be okay?
Amen.
And that was a very difficult thing to handle.
Mm-hmm.
I had never felt so insignificant, so unworthy, and so loved all at the same time.
Wow.
And I crashed on that. And this is actually the first time I've been able to get through the story without crying, to tell you the truth. I just, it wasn't a hope or wish. I knew it. I knew it in my soul that this was going to happen.
Wow.
And while I'd always believed in God, I was like, hold up now. Why are you here? Could I get some lottery numbers? But no, that didn't happen. I didn't get any lottery numbers. But that feeling of security, of comfort, it was incredible. And that's what happened. So, but here's the deal about medical school. Very few people get back in medical school if they've been dismissed.
Right.
It just doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it did. And I mean, I could actually just talk about this for 2 or 3 hours, but I'm not. But the thing is the dean told me, which was Chicago Medical School in North Chicago, Illinois. That's where I got back in school. He didn't say, okay, we're going to admit you. He said, when you graduate, I want to tell you something. Don't forget to ask me. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I go through there and I get through and I asked the dean, what is it that you want to tell me? He said, oh, your previous medical school was following behind you and asking everyone not to accept you as a personal favor because there was no academic reason for me not to be admitted. He said, anybody ever said, well, he's doing fine. I mean, yeah, he didn't pass national boards, but that's not a reason for dismissal. Why are we not? That I said, okay. So what I instantly realized at that point was that went back to that same instant in the car, that it was affirmation that not only you getting in, there's going to be stuff going on to keep you from it that you're not even aware of.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And so for me to realize at that point that here's these people behind my back trying to stop me, and they couldn't. They couldn't. And I wasn't even aware of it. So that's when I understood that, when something is divine, when God has a plan for you, no man can stop it. Nothing on earth can stop it. No weapons formed against you shall prosper, but there is one person who can stop his plan, and that's you.
Yes.
You can stop it in its tracks. And so many times I wanted to quit, and the only reason I didn't quit was because I didn't know how. Nobody ever taught me how to quit. I was like, how do you stop doing something you want to do? Well, go do something else. Well, how do you do that? This is all I really want to do. Well, this ain't working out. Well, and there were some very, very, I don't want to say hopeless times, but there were times when I didn't see it. I don't see how this is going to work. I don't see a way. So when all else failed, I just didn't know how to quit. So I guess that was the blessing that he gave me through my parents, because they taught me a lot of things. That wasn't one of them. And so I just kept going, and lo and behold, I got through, and I did my residency in Houston. I did a fellowship in forensic psychiatry at UTMB in Galveston. Came out, started practicing private practice, and was in Houston for, I don't know how many years I practiced in Houston. But I came here in '04, and we've been in the clean area since '04. And then that leads me to what happened in March, April, in May with the COVID. 2.5 weeks in the ICU, and 2 weeks in the ICU and a week in the step down unit. Somebody asked me while I was there, they said, boy, I bet you were praying and you promised them the world, didn't you? I said, no, I simply said, Lord, I don't know what you're going to do. I have no idea where this is going to go, but I'm not going to make any promises or tell you any lies. I just trust you. That's it. I just trust you. Whatever you're going to do, I accept it. And that sparked an interesting journey. It sparked a very interesting journey because once again, I felt that sense of peace, that sense of love, that sense of comfort. And while it was very scary figuring out what to do when I realized I was sick, once I got in the hospital, I really didn't have any fear. And once I just made that statement, I really never did. And things got worse. Things got worse. I got sicker. My kidneys failed. Completely stopped, just checked out. I don't know where they went, but they didn't send me postcards, so I don't know. But they just left. Put me on dialysis, which I think I mentioned before. Kidney failure was a lifelong fear that I had because of loved ones in my family who had done that, and including my father. And while I was on my second dialysis treatment, I realized that my father had died while he was on the dialysis machine. So I'm sitting there with this machine 2 feet away from my head thinking, oh yeah, this is how he died. But again, no fear, no sadness, no remorse, because I understood that he was going to take me through this. I don't know where it was going to end up. I didn't know if I was going to still be alive. I really did not know. And I was sick enough that it easily could have ended another way. But I just said, hey, whatever God's going to do, God's going to do, regardless of what I think, feel, or whatever. So let me just trust in him and I'll be okay. Either which way, I'll be okay. The kidneys came back before the third dialysis treatment, came back enough that they took me off of dialysis. And about 3 or 4 days later, I came home. What I started realizing after I got home and started feeling better, there was so much more to that journey. He showed me a lot of things. And I may have mentioned some of these already. He showed me, first of all, that I was so loved by so many people, that people were praying and pulling for me. And that was such a wonderful thing, to realize that you are that wealthy, because you can't buy love.
Right.
You can buy a lot of things, but love isn't one of them. And things that me and my family have been working on, and projects that we're working on. And we don't really do much really without prayer, to be honest with you. We really don't. But, we're still human. You can trust in God all you want, but doubt and fear still creeps in on a regular, recurring basis. It does. Yeah. But he showed me that, these things you all are working on, they're going to be okay. As a matter of fact, they're not going to be okay. They're going to be a whole lot better than okay. They're going to be phenomenal. But that's the way it's been in my whole life. It's always been, it's going to take me longer than I intended. It's not going to go the way I planned. But when it's over, I'm going to get more than I ever anticipated. And it's been that way my whole life.
Sounds like Joseph.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of what I was shown, not visions of things dancing in the air, no burning bushes, no booming voices, just subtle, quiet knowings. And yes, ma'am.
How do you get to that place of knowing, not thinking, but knowing that God is on your side and taking care of you? Because somebody needs to know that.
Yeah, trust him. And you have to spend time in prayer. You have to have a relationship with God. Like I said, I guess the COVID was my darkest moment. But prior to that, my darkest moment was stumbling to my car after being dismissed from medical school. Because now understand something about this. Being dismissed from medical school meant I had no income because my income was based on, my grants and loans and things that I got from medical school. That was all gone. So I had no way to live, no way to eat, no way to pay for my year-old car that I had. I mean, so it wasn't just, okay, you're not, and not to mention the fact that they were taking away a career that I wanted my entire life and did not have any intentions of doing anything else in my life. So there wasn't so much more to that. But here is the thing. But I had always relied on God. I always knew that he was going to be there. And I would talk to him. I literally just talk. People say, well, how do you pray? And that's where the Lord prayer comes from. But a lot of times, all you got to do is just say what's on your mind. And that was the same, that prayer that I had with him. And I was like, Lord, why are you coming to me? I didn't even call you. Do you think enough of me that you're going to come see about me when I didn't even ask for your help? I ain't all that, but I must mean something to you. So you have to have a relationship. You really do. And then you will understand when you are having thoughts and feelings, or when you have that knowing, when you know that you know that you know. I don't really know how to describe it any better than that, but it is different than when it's a hope and a wish. Like I said, I didn't hope that I was getting back in medical. I didn't say, well, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna, no, it was a fact. And it's beyond intellectual knowledge. It's a spiritual, it's you feel it in your heart and your soul.
Yes.
And you have to trust it, because here's the deal. He ain't like nothing else. So just because you know something's gonna happen, don't mean it's just gonna say boop and there it is. Like I said, I was informed, oh, you're gonna go through a little bit of hell. And I did. A lot of doubt, a lot of fear, day in and day out, the same thing. Seemed like I was getting nowhere for months and months and months. So I think that sometimes people don't believe it, because when they hear it and they see it, but then they stop trusting it because it didn't go the way they planned it. Well, it ain't gonna never go the way we planned it. You just have to trust that it's going to be there. That's faith. Knowing that no matter what happens, if this is what he says is gonna happen, this is what's gonna end up happening. And that's why I was not afraid. I did not know if I was gonna die or not. I had no clue, and I really wasn't worried about it. Because whatever he's got planned for me, that's what's gonna come to pass. And if it's for my time to go, there's nothing I can do and nothing anybody else can do to stop it.
So Dr. Freeman, I have to ask, you've mentioned several things on here about your relationship with God, but you kind of skimmed over the top. So if you had to give the people some nuggets about developing this relationship, I hear prayer is at the top of your list, right? And I hear trust is right in line with prayer. What are some other things that you would tell people that they absolutely have to develop as part of their relationship with God to get to that place of knowing? So prayer and trust being top two. What can you give us two more, maybe?
Whoa! Now you're yanking on my theology, which I have done. No, I think also, and having a relationship in church, because this is something that's very difficult to understand. I don't know if we ever will ever really understand it, but I know that, and there were a lot of times in my life where I did not go to church at all. But as a youngster, I was made to go to church, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a little long, but I enjoyed it. And then later on in my life, I realized that was something that I needed. So having a church family, having people that understand faith, and also people that have some good understanding of the Bible. So you need to do some learning and some studying too. You don't have to become, as some pastors say, you don't have to become a Bible thumper. You don't have to understand every verse and things of this nature, but you really have to get a good idea of what it is that God is about, and what Jesus was trying to tell us. And you just can't do that just based on, what I think. You have to get into it. But you need a relationship, and the relationship is prayer. That is the first thing. But having a good church home and people that are teaching the Bible, not just all this prosperity theology and all these kind of things, but it's teaching the teachings of the Bible. And because those things are going to be truisms, and they're going to always work for you, no matter what. And people say, well, I know the Bible. I said, well, if you know the Bible today, you won't know it tomorrow, because your life changes and it changes. When they say it's a living Bible, I mean, I get what they're saying, because you can read a verse 100 times and 200 times it'll mean something different to you. So you have to seek out wisdom. It's not a passive experience. You have to seek it out. So that's as good as I can say. Go to church, a good church. What's a good church? Well, you have to find out. Prayer and some study. Again, you don't have to be a Bible thumper, but some study into the understanding of the teachings of Jesus Christ. That's it.
Yes, sir. So I heard you brought up several points. Shauna, did you have anything? Okay. So you brought up several points about this knowing, about having security and comfort. So I know when going through different things, and I understand what you mean, because there were times where I was very fearful of things and not understanding. But once I got to the point of maturity in Christ, and knowing that he was there and that he was never going to leave me or forsake me, that word really was true. Because I think sometimes in the Bible, we may read it, and again, we may read it many, many times, but not get an understanding of it, because we have not allowed ourselves to drop those walls and realize that God is not a man. He doesn't lie. And there's things that we don't understand because we have not dropped those walls to let him show us just who he is. And so a lot of people, or a lot of things have happened where we have blamed God for some things that he did not do. And then we don't understand why things are not working for us. They're not working for our good. So we think, because we know that all things work together for the good of them that love God and are called according to his purpose. So people misquote that all the time.
Yes.
Everything's working for my good. Well, what's your purpose? And do you love God? Because all of that goes together. So what would you say as far as that security and that comfort let you know? And I could think of several scriptures, but I'm gonna let you say it in your own words. To just kind of brought you to a place where even in the midst of adversity, even in the midst of not knowing if you were going to live or die, just allowed you to put your hands up and say, pretty much, God, your will be done, not my own.
Well, and part of it is the relationship, knowing where he's brought me from and what he's taken me through. I've been shown that that's truth.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have that relationship and understanding and trust and faith, then that's what you rely on. I mean, there were several other times in my life where, and it's almost like again, it's like, boop, like somebody just knocks a hat off your head. You're like, oh, and that goes back to a lot of the legal wranglings I did with my daughter and my daughter's mother, and it wasn't for custody; it was just for visitation. And one day when I was going back to court, I realized it. I looked at my lawyer and said, oh, it's over. She said, oh, yeah, it's over because we're going to do this. I said, no, you don't understand. The hat just got knocked off my head. This is over. We're not fighting anymore. We're done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I said, no, this is over. Now, did it go the way I planned it? Absolutely not. Did it go anywhere near the way I wanted it to? Absolutely not. But as we see now, there's some things that are happening, and it's not in my time, it's in his time. And though I may have been ready, was my daughter ready? Was I really ready? I was ready for what? What I wanted, or was I ready for what he needed me to do? Mm-hmm. So everything that happens for us, everything that we go through is not just for us, but it's for someone else. And the one thing that my prayer is always when I'm successful, especially when I've been very successful, what am I to do with this? Mm-hmm. What is this for? Because I know it's just not for me. I mean, thank you for giving me this gift, but it's not for me to keep. It's for me to share.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something people don't realize that, you know, God is multidimensional, you know, and you see these things, you'll see something happen to you positively, and you'll see something happen for somebody else, and then you'll see something else happen, and you're like, whoa, look what, that's just because how he rolls. So I think once you understand that, well, once you believe it, because I don't know if you ever really understand it,
True.
and you trust it, you
Uh-huh.
see over and over and over and over and over and over again that it works.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it's about the relationship. As you have the relationship and you see these things and you see these things to be truth, then you keep your faith.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing is people have to understand is some people think, well, I got to get myself together before I go to God. Well, first of all, you can't.
Right.
You're going to always fall short.
Mm-hmm.
You're never going to measure up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the people in the Bible that God used, they were a lot of things. Perfect wasn't none of them.
Right.
And I Paul or
Mm-hmm.
Saul, who was a Christian killer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, on the road to Damascus. I mean, you know, and I like to say he would kill you, your mama, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your dog, your cat, your plants. He'll salt the earth. If you were a Christian, he would kill all those things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And still the Lord took him and used him.
Absolutely.
And Saul turned all that around and put that toward God.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we don't have to be perfect. We're never going to be perfect. He's not expecting us to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can come to him just as we are. And like I said, you know, the first thing I did was I'm making you no promises. You know who I am. You know what I'm about. All I'm going to tell you is I trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes a lot of weight off of us because not that you don't want to improve and change, but there are a lot of people that feel guilty and feel afraid and feel ashamed of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But he don't really care. You know, I mean, if you follow him, those things will change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You'll still, it's a process. You're never going to get to perfection. It ain't going to happen. Forget about it. And I tell people, if you ever become perfect, then you will be the biggest imperfection that exists in this world because there is no perfection in this world. So it's a losing cause. But
Yeah.
trusting in the Lord, trusting, understanding. Yeah, I'm living proof. That's all I can say. Now, a whole lot of people know a whole lot more Bible verses than me, but I do know something about God's grace.
Amen.
And
That's
as I look back in my life, I see it more and more and more.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so awesome. So I had someone to contact me the other day, this week, and they were saying about something that they were not, because I don't want to give away this person. So try to be careful with my wording. But this person was saying how they were not satisfied with the haircut that they got. And they went on to explain that they kept going back to the same place to get a haircut, but for the umpteenth time, their hair still got messed up. And it was a different barber each and every time. So I said, well, it might be time to go to another place because you keep getting these same results. You know, and I told her, I was like, well, this is, you know, sometimes we follow traditions because that's what we've always done. But if those traditions are not working, why don't we change the traditions? That just only makes sense to me because if you're still doing the same thing, you're going to get to the same result. So she began to go on about this, that, and the other, and kind of go back her own way. And, you know, I mentioned about God. Well, if you're dissatisfied about it, you know, talk to God. But she had already said something about that, about her praying about going back to this place. And I'm thinking to myself, I think that common sense would tell you, and I try not to be rude or anything, but you don't have to pray about everything. You do have to pray about everything, but some things he gives us a little bit of leeway on. But then I said, if you are that dissatisfied about it, tell God about those feelings, because she was like, I have a problem with trust. I said, okay, well, trust is is coming out in you because of it's coming out in your dissatisfaction with your hair and all these other things. Why don't you go
Right,
to God
right.
about that? And so she went on and she says, I don't think God cares about my hair till we get to heaven. He cares about your hair till you get to heaven. Well, the Bible says that he's concerned about you, right? He says, cast all your cares upon him because he cares for you. So if you care about your hair and you're concerned about it, take that to him. I don't see any big deal with it, but it's a trust issue.
Well, you can't just wait on God to do everything.
Right.
You have to make a move. And
Participate.
you've been given discernment. If every time you go, you're not happy, why are you still going?
Right. Yeah.
He's already given you information. You ain't happy with it. You don't like it. Why are you still going? And you say common sense. Well, I'm not sure how common sense is all the time.
That's true. Yeah.
God has given us the tools to do some of the things that we need to do on this planet. And it's okay to pray about everything, but you got to get up and do something like it depends on you as well.
Absolutely, because it does. Yeah. So it's been a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Freeman, on Prison Break with Shirley and Shauna, this special edition that we only do on Fridays on YouTube. So, we're trying to allow people to come on over to YouTube. There's some special things that go on over here that they're not going to find on Facebook. So they have to come on over to YouTube and get these special editions. But we just thank you for all of your wisdom, for people to be able to glean onto something, because there's not a whole lot. And I know there are some men that will be candid and honest and talk about their journeys of life to help another man. But for me, coming up and doing different things, they are few and far in between. So I'm always excited when a man will grace us with your presence and your expertise and your experience and all of those things, and just lay it out the way that people need to hear it.
There's nothing special about what's happened to me. It's unique in the way it's happened to me. But I think, again, everybody has a story.
Absolutely.
And I guess maybe being in the profession I'm in, I hear a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But we all share similar experiences. Again, different flavors, different this, different twists. I don't think I'm special. I'm just like everybody else. But you're right, a lot of people don't talk about it. And so I'm willing to do it because this is what I ask my patients to do, to share with me.
Mm.
As I told you before, I always tell them, what do I want to hear? Whatever you don't want to tell me is what I want you to tell me first off.
Yeah.
So I've learned, and I want to thank all of my patients because I've learned so much from them.
Mm-hmm.
So very much from them. It is truly a two-way street. If you stay open, it is truly a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot. And I think that I've grown quite a bit from talking to and listening to my patients as well. So a lot of things that I've gained. Yeah, I mean, because I've been here a little while, but a lot of I've gained from listening to other people and talking with other people. So I think if we're not afraid to share,
mm-hmm.
we'll find out that we will really, really grow.
Absolutely. I do agree. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure again to talk to you.
Thank you.
This afternoon, and we'll come back at some other time. And we've been on here almost an hour. So
okay.
Yes.
Well, we got to talk about some psychiatric stuff too. We got to do that.
Okay. Well, we'll plug in another Friday. How about that?
Well, Dr. Freeman, if you want us to discuss some psychiatric things, maybe if we, after this is over, if we sit down together and you give us the topics that you would like to discuss, then we can make those our headline or title. And in that way, you already know what you're getting ready to talk about when you come on here, and we can have that topic ready, and we can gather that interest up on some other social media platforms, because I would love to pick your brain about some psychiatric things.
Okay. Fine with me. No problem.
Awesome. Well, everybody, you've been tuning in to Prison Break with Shirley and Shonda, special edition with Dr. Edward Freeman right here out of Texas. And so it's been a plum pleasure to be in your presence. And so until next time, make sure that if you have not liked and subscribe to our YouTube channel that you do so, and share with someone else. All right, until next time, be blessed.
Take care.